So look, let's get to you obviously built this platform.
Yeah.
Was On the Radar something that you had always kind of like, because I think early on I was seeing you were doing stuff during the pandemic on like Zoom.
Yep.
And which everybody was doing.
Right, we all had to do that shit.
When did you initially, did you launch On the Radar during the pandemic or was it prior to the pandemic? Like, give me the kind of the history of it.
Well, like On the Radar started in 2018. So like I originally had the idea because for me, like, you know, I'm 26. So 2018, I was like 21, 22 ish.
Right.
And my biggest thing for me back then was like, I was a young kid and I was listening to like, you know, the little Uzi verse, the Yachty's and the whatnot. And I would see them go on different platforms and I just felt like they weren't really understood by, you know, you think about like the infamous Joe Budden moment with him and Yachty. And it's like,
even like the Ebro one where they were like trying to get him to rap over some Primo shit.
Right. And I don't necessarily blame them for those moments, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they just didn't understand
That's
them
their generation, yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? They're younger kids, right? So I felt like at that time, I was like, damn, like, I don't really see them being represented properly in a media space, and I didn't really see anybody in my age really being able to be in this media space and also kind of be that kind of that person that's able to grab them and help them, you know, be presented properly the way that, like, you know, you think of like an Angie Martinez in the 90s with everybody from New York. You feel me? Or,
sure.
or you think of or bless you, or you think of who am I thinking of? Columbia radio station. I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
You're talking about Stretch and Bobbito?
Yeah, Stretch and Bobbito, right? Yeah. Like, or how Stretch and Bobbito was there to help bring up Biggie, Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
like they had like some of their first
Big
freestyles.
Jay-Z freestyle, all that shit. Yeah.
You think about those, and like I wanted to do something like that for this generation. So I came up with the idea back in like the summer of 2018, right after I graduated college. You know, I kind of presented.
Were you already at Power?
Yeah, okay. I was already full time on the digital side of things. I was part of the Angie Martinez show. I helped out with Breakfast Club, so I did a little bit of everything. And when it came to like creating this space, I was like, you know, I wanted it to be like on the radio station, but they were like, you know what, build it on your own. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of started getting it going. They had a room there that I could use. It was the same room that Charlamagne used to film Brilliant Idiots in. So I would just film it like one interview a day, or like one interview a week, something like that. And it was just, I was finding anybody and everybody I can interview, just trying to start building my connections. So I was doing that for a while, and then I started making more younger friends in the industry. And that's how I ended up getting up. Some bigger artists started getting a little more recognition in New York. And then the pandemic came. And like right before the pandemic, I did this interview with Bankroll Freddie. And like that was kind of like my biggest interview at the time. It had like, I think it had like 20,000 views like in like a week or whatever, which was like a lot for me at the time.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. I have all this traction, but now like, everything is
shutting down,
dead, right? So I was like in a space where it was weird because I also had another show at the time I did with Power called Enter Player 2, which was like a video game show. So I would play like Mortal Kombat, 2K with like some artists. Like I had Chef G and Sleepy Hollow on that show too, which was like one of their most talkative interviews, which was really dope at the time.
Right.
So pandemic came, I'm like, and I was like, damn, what do I do now? Like I really don't know what to do. The Zoom interviews came around, and then like I kind of got out of this like, you know, depressive state that I was in, not knowing where to go with my show, just having to do the social media stuff every single day, which was like, it was fine, but it's like, it's not what I love to do.
Right.
And I just started doing like 2 to 3 Zoom interviews like every day. Like I was just like, you know what, anybody and everybody who I can connect with in any place in the world, I'm gonna figure it out. So I was doing interviews with people like some Afrobeat artists. Like I did Stoneboy very early on in my career. And then I was doing like people from like the Carolinas, Florida, like literally anybody that I could do a Zoom interview with. And then it kind of came to a point where it was like I figured out this rhythm with the content. I'm like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing now. And we started, you know, getting out of the pandemic. And I was like, you know, I want to do live interviews. So I started doing those again. And I came up with I had always had this idea for freestyles on the show. And I had done them kind of ghetto before. Like I would have my laptop literally sitting right here, plug the headphones into the laptop, and then I would put the volume all the way up, let them rap. And then in post-production, I would try to hear where the beat started, and I would try to match it up.
That's fucking crazy.
Super ghetto, right? Yeah. But it worked. It worked. I only had like 1 or 2 that I couldn't put out because of that. So we had that done, and then I found this spot. Well,
because you guys had freestyles where they weren't wearing headphones sometimes, right? Am I tripping?
No, we always have.
Okay, maybe I'm tripping. I just saw somebody freestyling. There was no headphones on, and I was like,
on my show?
No, somebody shit. I was like, what is going on here? They don't have headphones on. Where are they hearing the beat? Like,
Actually, okay, there was one. We had like some ciphers. Like we did a Christmas cipher. We called it the Christmas in Harlem cipher.
no, I remember seeing that. You guys had like a fucking 78 people rapping.
Yeah, we had like 16 people rapping. That was a really dope moment too. But that we had like a speaker outside, and they could hear it. Same with the ladies' night that we just did in Atlanta. That one had an external speaker that they could hear the beat played off of instead
And
of
then
headphones.
you would just handle the.
Yeah, my producer Rob is like a magician with that. I don't even know how he does it, but he finesses it. But we started doing the freestyles like kind of shortly after, like I kind of caught the wave of the drill scene. Like I had caught, K-Flock, B-Love, and Dougie B. I did their first interview together. I did Dusty Locane, Busy Banks around that time. And then I was like, all right, I got this motion doing these interviews. What else
The
can
Bobby
we do?
Fischer guys.
Yeah, Bobby Fit. Shout out Bobby, man. Shout out Bobby, bro. But yeah, so then like I found this spot called HMD Studios out in Brooklyn, which is sadly closing its doors really soon. But that's kind of where we started doing the freestyles. And I just like I had my producer Rob, who I mentioned at the time, and I'm like, bro, we're doing all these interviews with like these dope up and coming artists. I'm like, can we do freestyles here? And he called over the owners to the studio, and who are also friends of mine. He's like, is this possible? And they're like, yeah, this is possible. So we started off just kind of like doing once again, like anybody who wanted to come rap, just bring them to come rap.
Pull up.
And one of the first people who I had come rap on the freestyles in that studio was Lola Brooke, because me and Lola had done interviews before,
Right.
so we had this relationship. And then kind of from there, we just kind of caught this wave. We caught the drill wave in New York, and then
I mean, yeah, the
it just
Ice
went
Spice
crazy.
freestyle was
Ice
just
Spice,
crazy.
yeah, Ice Spice's shit was
I'm not
nuts.
sure she'll ever do another one of those ever again.
Hey man, look, if I have the only
got it,
Ice Spice if I have the only Ice Spice freestyle ever, I'll be happy. But like, we caught a lot of really dope, incredible artists early on, and I feel like, that's kind of where I wanted to be at in 2018. It took a bit of time, but like, I feel like a lot of young people in this industry don't always realize how long things take.
And then
to
you
really get done.
guys, so when we started doing freestyles for the podcast, we kind of started the same way, I think, because we were thinking of the monetization route. So I would have my producer, Tony Chalk, just give me a beat that was original, that wouldn't get flagged. So a lot of your guys' beats are from producers that's not like they're freestyling over like Pound Town. You know what I'm saying? Like it's original instrumentals, right?
Some cases, yeah. I mean, I kind of like to give the artist the free range to do what they want. We do have we have in-house producers now. My boy Fritz cooks up a lot of the beats. Hitman gave us the beat for the Ladies Night Cypher, so that was really dope. But I try to give them the free range. I got a great partnership with Create on the monetization side of things, so they help me kind of sort through all those things with the beats and kind of like getting copyrights on.
Because you guys are you guys putting all the freestyles on like Spotify and all that shit?
Not all of them,
Yeah.
but we have a lot. Like we put out like what 115 already this year. 115 already this year. So we have we have a pretty big catalog that we just dropped this year alone. But we try to encourage artists now, especially the up and coming ones, is like, look, if you coming on the show, you might as well do an original beat so we can put you in our ecosystem on streaming, and then you get the On the Radar fans, we get your fans, and then we kind of are able to marry that together.